What if the person who is punishing you the most right now is you? Have you ever noticed how the world may have moved on from your past, but you are still holding a relentless trial in your own mind? There is a strange kind of exhaustion that comes from being both the judge and the accused, locked in a silent courtroom where the verdict is always guilty. If you have ever felt like your past mistakes have permanently stained your worth, if you carry a heavy guilt that whispers you are damaged beyond repair, this is for you. Stay until the end, because the final lesson may change the way you see this pain forever. We all stumble. We all make decisions in moments of pain, confusion, or fear that we later deeply regret. But instead of simply learning from these moments, the mind often turns against itself. You replay old conversations at 3 in the morning. You fiercely analyze the moments where you chose poorly. You look at the people you hurt or the opportunities you squandered, and you construct a permanent narrative. You tell yourself that because you did something broken, you are broken. You walk through life feeling secretly flawed, believing that if others really knew the depth of your failures, they would inevitably turn away. Buddhist wisdom teaches us the profound truth of impermanence. Everything is in a constant, unbroken state of flow. Nothing stays the same. Not the seasons, not the water in a river, and certainly not the human heart. One of the deepest lessons of Buddhism is that suffering arises when we cling to a fixed, unmoving idea of who we are. When you define yourself forever by a mistake made years or even days ago, you are clinging to a ghost. You are holding on to a version of yourself that no longer exists, dragging it into the present moment and allowing it to steal your peace. Imagine walking a long road, carrying a heavy, tightly woven sack of sharp stones on your back. Each stone represents a past mistake, a careless word, a moment of profound weakness. You carry this sack everywhere. When you sit down to rest, the sack sits heavily beside you. When you try to sleep, the weight of the stones presses down on your chest, stealing your breath. You have convinced yourself that carrying this agonizing weight is your righteous penance. You believe you must feel the sharp edges of these stones every single day to prove that you are a good person, to prove that you are truly sorry. But carrying the stones does not change the road behind you. It only crushes the person trying to walk forward today. You see this in the way you hold back in your daily life. When a new opportunity for joy, deep connection, or peace appears, that quiet, familiar voice reminds you of your past. You do not deserve this, the voice whispers. Remember what you did. Remember who you used to be. So you pull away. You accept less. You subconsciously sabotage your own happiness, punishing yourself in the absolute silence of your own mind, long after the actual event has passed into history. Ask yourself, how many times are you going to demand punishment for the exact same mistake? What are you truly afraid will happen if you finally let the stones drop? Is this endless, repetitive guilt bringing you any actual wisdom, or is it only feeding your fear? Pause, breathe, observe this guilt without letting it become your entire identity. Let the feeling of regret rise, acknowledge that it is there, and then gently allow it to pass like a dark cloud drifting across an open sky. You do not have to fight it, but you must stop inviting it to stay. You are not the mistakes you made in the dark. You are the awareness that now sees them in the light. Because true peace is not found in a flawless past. It is something you make space for right now, in this very breath. But recognizing the weight of the stones is only the first step. To drop them, you must understand why you believe you are broken, and this is where the next truth begins. 2. The illusion of permanent damage. What if the belief that you are fundamentally broken is just a story your mind tells to keep you safely hidden? Here is a truth that many find difficult to accept. The tighter you hold on to the idea that you are ruined, the more you suffer. When we make deep mistakes, especially those that hurt others or shatter our own expectations, the mind rushes to create a label. We shift very quickly from saying, "I did a bad thing," to believing, "I am a bad person." We begin to view our self-worth like a fragile porcelain vase. We believe that once it is dropped and shattered on the floor, it can never be put back together. It can never hold water again. So, we walk through life carefully sweeping up our own broken pieces, hiding the cracks, terrified that if anyone looks too closely, they will see that we are permanently ruined. You might avoid deep relationships, fearing you will only cause harm again. You might settle for a life that feels small and heavy, secretly believing that this is the exact life a damaged person deserves. Buddhist wisdom teaches a completely different reality. In Buddhist thought, the idea of a fixed, permanent self is an illusion. There is no unchanging, concrete you that can be permanently stained by a single action. Everything in the universe is in a constant, unbroken state of change. You are not a statue carved from solid rock. You are a river. And just as a river is constantly refreshed and reshaped by new water, you are born anew in every single moment, with every single breath. The mistake you made belongs to a person who no longer exists. Imagine looking up at a vast, infinite sky. Sometimes thick, violent storm clouds roll in. Lightning strikes, thunder shakes the earth, and the rain falls heavy, cold, and relentless. During the darkest part of the storm, it feels as though the sky itself has been destroyed. It feels like the darkness is all there will ever be. But eventually, the wind shifts. The heavy clouds break apart and drift away across the horizon. And what remains? The sky. Unharmed, untarnished, unbroken. The sky is never permanently damaged by the storm. It simply held the weather for a little while. In your modern life, your past mistakes are just the weather. That time you failed at a major turning point, the relationship you pushed away out of deep fear, the words you spoke in a moment of bitter anger, these were storms. But you have mistaken the storm for the sky. You have let a temporary action become a permanent identity. You are sitting in the middle of a quiet, peaceful day, still holding a heavy umbrella, convinced that the rain from 5 years ago is still falling on you. Think about your own life. Who would you be right now if you completely dropped the story that you are damaged? What quiet joy, what deep connection are you pushing away today because you are still punishing yourself for a storm that passed long ago? Pause, breathe, observe the heavy thought that you are broken. Watch it rise in your mind, but do not attach your identity to it. It is just a cloud. Let it drift. You are not damaged goods. You are the open sky, capable of holding the storm and surviving it completely. But letting go of this illusion of brokenness means you must also let go of the guilt you have been guarding so carefully. Because sometimes we carry the ashes of our past, secretly believing that carrying them is the only way to prove we care. And this is where the next truth begins. 3. The burden of carrying yesterday's ashes. What if your refusal to forgive yourself is not an act of justice, but a hidden form of clinging? Here is the truth few people want to face. We often hold on to our guilt because dropping it feels too much like forgetting. When we make a significant mistake, the mind creates a false equation. We convince ourselves that suffering equals caring. You believe that as long as you feel terrible about what you did, you are proving your morality to the world. So, you replay the memory of how you let down a friend, how you failed at a critical moment, or how you walked away from someone who needed you. You keep the pain fresh, you hold the memory close, assuming that if you ever stop feeling guilty, it must mean you no longer care about the harm you caused. You mistakenly believe that endless self-punishment is the only valid price of redemption. In Buddhist thought, This is a deep manifestation of attachment. We often think of attachment as clinging to wealth, status, or joy. But one of the most dangerous forms of attachment is clinging to our own suffering. Buddhism reminds us that attachment to the past anchors us to an illusion, blinding us to the reality of the present moment. Non-attachment does not mean you lack empathy, nor does it mean you brush away your mistakes. It simply means you stop trying to hold on to things that have already finished happening. Imagine a devastating fire that sweeps through a quiet forest, burning down a beautiful ancient tree. It is a profound loss. The flames are hot, bright, and destructive. But eventually, the fire burns itself out. The smoke clears. The event is completely over. Yet, instead of walking out of the burned forest to plant new seeds, you fall to your knees. You begin meticulously scooping up the cold, grey ashes with your bare hands. You fill your pockets with them. You smear them across your clothes. You carry these ashes with you for years. And because your hands are always covered in soot, everything beautiful you touch today becomes stained by a fire that died a long time ago. This is exactly what you do when you carry the ashes of your past mistakes into your current life. You bring the soot of an old failure into a brand new opportunity, holding yourself back from success because you remember the time you fell short. You carry the ashes of a broken connection into a new friendship, silently keeping a distance, waiting for the moment you ruin this one too. You cannot fully embrace the peace of today because your hands are too full of yesterday's dead embers. Think about your own life. What ashes are you still collecting? Ask yourself, does carrying this cold, heavy weight actually undo the past? Is your endless guilt repairing the damage, or is it only preventing you from planting something beautiful today? Pause, breathe, look at the weight you are holding. You do not have to carry the remnants of a fire that has already gone out. Let the ashes fall to the earth, where the wind can finally take them. You do not need to suffer endlessly to prove you have a good heart. You can acknowledge the fire without wearing the soot, because releasing your guilt does not mean you are a bad person. It means you are choosing to be present for the people who need you today. But to truly put the ashes down, you must learn to separate the desire to grow from the need to suffer. And this is where the next truth begins. 4. The difference between remorse and punishment. What if your desperate attempt to be a better person is exactly what is keeping you trapped in the dark? Here is a truth that is hard to hear but entirely necessary. We deeply confuse feeling sorry with making ourselves suffer. When we do something wrong, it is completely natural to feel regret. Regret is a signal. It tells you that your actions did not align with your core values. But the mind takes this healthy signal and twists it. You begin to believe that to truly hold yourself accountable, you must suffer continuously. You think that by relentlessly whipping yourself over a poor financial decision, a harsh word spoken in anger, or a failed project, you are being responsible. You replay the scene, analyze your failure, and deliver a brutal verdict over and over again. You mistake self-destruction for self-improvement. Buddhist wisdom teaches a profound distinction between clear seeing and self-harm. In Buddhist thought, there is a teaching known as the two arrows. When a painful event occurs, like making a terrible mistake, that is the first arrow. It strikes you and it hurts. But instead of simply tending to the wound, we immediately shoot a second arrow into our own chest. The second arrow is our reaction, the shame, the obsessive guilt, the endless self-condemnation. We cannot always avoid the first arrow of a mistake, but the second arrow, the endless punishment, is a choice. Imagine accidentally deeply cutting your hand on a sharp piece of glass. The cut is real, it bleeds, it stings, and it requires immediate attention. You must wash it, apply medicine, and wrap it securely in a bandage. This act of care is remorse. It is acknowledging the damage and doing what is necessary to heal. But self-punishment is waking up every single morning and ripping the bandage off. It is digging your own fingernails into the healing skin, forcing the cut to bleed all over again today, just to prove you remember that the glass was sharp. You do this in your everyday life. You apologize to a partner for a bitter argument, and they forgive you. The conflict is over. But weeks later, you are still mentally tearing the bandage off, treating yourself with coldness, convinced you do not deserve their love. You make a misstep in your career, and instead of absorbing the lesson and preparing for the next step, you sit in the dark, reopening the wound of failure, telling yourself you are incompetent. You confuse bleeding with healing. Think about that. Healing requires stillness, but you are keeping the wound violently open. Ask yourself, are you learning from your past, or are you just making yourself bleed? Is this endless mental review actually preventing you from making the same mistake again, or is it just draining the exact energy you need to move forward? Pause. Breathe. Look at the emotional wound you have been picking at for so long. Stop trying to keep the pain alive. The lesson has already been delivered. Let the skin heal. You do not need to suffer forever to prove that you have grown. True accountability does not require you to destroy yourself. You can learn the lesson without becoming a permanent prisoner to the mistake. But to finally drop the weapon you are using against yourself, you have to look closely at the person you are attacking. And this is where the next truth begins. 5. Forgiving the version of you who did not know better. What if the person you are judging so harshly was actually doing the absolute best they could with the light they had? Here is a truth that is often hidden behind our deepest regrets. You are judging a past version of yourself using the wisdom that their very mistake gave you. When we look back at our past choices, the mind can be brutally unforgiving. You remember staying in a situation that was hurting you, walking away from someone who loved you, or making a decision out of blind fear. When you look back, you feel a sickening wave of embarrassment and anger. You ask yourself, how could I have been so foolish? How could I not see the truth? You expect the past version of yourself to have possessed the clarity and strength that you only have right now. You distance yourself from that past self. You look at them as if they were a stranger, labeling them as weak, selfish, or broken. Buddhist wisdom teaches the practice of profound, unconditional compassion, and that practice must always begin with yourself. In Buddhist thought, ignorance is not a crime to be punished, but a human condition to be met with understanding. We always act from the exact level of awareness we hold in any given moment. When we stumble, when we cause harm, it is almost always because we are operating from a place of unhealed suffering, confusion, or fear. Buddhism reminds us to view all beings, including the person we used to be, with the gentle eyes of understanding rather than the harsh glare of a courtroom judge. Imagine a person forced to navigate a dense, dangerous forest at midnight. There is no moon, there is no light. They stumble blindly over hidden roots. They scrape their hands against unseen thorns. And in their panicked attempt to find safety, they accidentally trample over beautiful, fragile flowers. Years later, the sun rises. The forest is finally bathed in brilliant, clear morning light. The person looks back at the broken branches and crushed flowers and falls to their knees in overwhelming shame. But how could they have seen the delicate flowers in the pitch black? They were not trying to be destructive. They were simply walking in the dark. You do this with your own history every single day. You look at the opportunities you missed, the bridges you burned, or the years you spent trying to please people who did not value you. You stand in the bright, warm sunlight of your current awareness, and you angrily condemn the you who was stumbling in the dark. You forget that the past version of you was exhausted. They were lonely. They were just trying to survive using the only tools they had at the time. Think about that. You are using the light they earned to punish them for the dark they walked through. Ask yourself, are you being fair to the person you used to be? What if that past version of you does not need your endless disappointment, but your profound, quiet forgiveness? Pause, breathe, picture the version of yourself who made that painful mistake. Instead of pushing them away in disgust, observe them with kindness. Silently tell them, "You did not know. I understand now." You do not have to hate your past self to prove you have become someone better. You can simply say thank you for surviving the night, because you cannot heal a wound by hating the person who received it. You must integrate your past, not amputate it. And realizing what can grow from that acceptance is where the next truth begins. 6. The lotus blooming in muddy waters. What if the ugliest parts of your history are exactly what you need to create your most beautiful future? Here is a truth that goes against everything we are taught about failure. We think the mud ruins the flower, but the mud is the very thing that feeds it. When we look at our deepest mistakes, the embarrassing failures, the selfish choices, the times we broke our own moral code, we tend to view them as toxic waste. We want to bury them, hide them, or completely erase them from our life story. We think, if only I had not gone through that, if only I had not made that horrible choice, I would be a pure and good person today. We reject our own struggles. We believe the mess of our past makes us fundamentally unworthy of love, success, or quiet peace. We try to scrub ourselves clean, endlessly ashamed of the dirt we have accumulated along the way. Buddhist wisdom teaches one of the most beautiful and enduring symbols of human transformation, the lotus flower. There is a deep, ancient teaching that simply says, no mud, no lotus. The lotus does not grow in clear, pristine, sanitized water. It only roots in the thick, dark, suffocating mud at the very bottom of the pond. Buddhism reminds us that our suffering, our mistakes, and our deepest flaws are not the end of our spiritual journey. They are the exact soil required for profound awakening. Your pain is not a punishment, it is an ingredient. Imagine a tiny, fragile seed sinking into the stagnant, murky water of a swamp. It settles at the bottom, instantly buried under layers of dark silt, decaying leaves, and heavy shadows. To anyone looking from the outside, the seed appears entirely lost and ruined. But the seed does not fight the mud. It does not hate the darkness it finds itself in. It absorbs the heavy, rich muck, using it to break open its shell. It pushes a strong stem upward, reaching silently through the cloudy water until it finally breaks the surface and blooms into a flawless, brilliant blossom. The petals are completely untouched by the dirt, yet they owe their entire magnificent existence to it. You see this struggle in the way you try to sanitize your own life. You feel intense shame over the years you lost to the wrong path, a toxic relationship you stayed in too long, or a deeply destructive reaction you cannot take back. You look at your own history and all you see is thick, heavy mud. You compare yourself to people who seem to live in clear, shallow, easy waters, secretly convinced their pristine lives make them better than you. But you forget something vital. The depth of your mistakes has given you a profound empathy, a fierce resilience, and a deep understanding of human pain that no easy life could ever provide. Think about your own life. What if that terrible mistake, that deep regret you have been hiding from the world, is the exact mud your current wisdom is growing from? What would happen if you stopped hating the dirt and started realizing it is the very reason you are so deeply self-aware today? Pause, breathe, look at the ugliest part of your past without shrinking away from it. Acknowledge it not as a permanent stain on your soul, but as the rich soil of your present awareness. You are not ruined by the mud you have walked through. You are the lotus rising out of it. Because true peace is not about erasing your messy past. It is about allowing your past to finally bloom into something useful. But to let the flower fully open, you must eventually step down from the judge's chair. And this is where the next truth begins. 7. Dropping the gavel. What if the trial you are holding against yourself is the only thing keeping you from being free? Here is the truth about the private courtroom in your mind. The judge, the jury, and the executioner are all just echoes of your own fear. When you believe you are permanently damaged, you spend your entire life building a case against yourself. You gather evidence from your past. You take every misstep, every harsh word, every selfish moment, and you meticulously file it away in a permanent record. Whenever you start to feel a little bit of joy, or whenever someone offers you genuine love, you immediately pull out the files. You present the evidence. You remind yourself of exactly why you are guilty, and you deliver the sentence all over again. You secretly believe that if you judge yourself harshly enough, you can protect yourself from the judgment of the world. You think that by being your own cruelest critic, you are somehow staying safe. Buddhist wisdom teaches that this endless cycle of judgment is one of the most exhausting forms of mental clinging. It is the mind trying to maintain control over an uncontrollable past. In Buddhist thought, true mindfulness is not just about watching your breath. It is about observing the mind's desperate tendency to judge and consciously choosing not to participate. Buddhism reminds us that the ego loves a courtroom. It loves to be right, even if being right means proving that you are broken. But the truest part of you, the quiet awareness beneath the ego, does not judge. It simply observes. Imagine sitting in a cold, dark stone cell for years. You hold onto the heavy iron bars, resting your forehead against the cold metal, weeping for the life you are missing outside. You are convinced you are serving a mandatory life sentence for the mistakes you made. You wait desperately for a governor to send a pardon. You wait for someone to walk down the hall and unlock the door. But one day, the light shifts. You look down at the heavy iron door and realize something shocking. There is no lock. There are no guards. The door has been wide open the entire time. The only thing keeping you in the cell is your absolute belief that you belong there. You see this in the way you live right now. You apologize endlessly for simply taking up space. You hold back your best ideas at work, or you slowly pull away from a partner who loves you because you feel you must stay inside the cell of your own unworthiness. You are waiting for someone else, a partner, a parent, a boss, or society to finally declare you innocent. You want someone else to give you permission to move on. But no external validation can ever open a door that you are fiercely holding shut from the inside. Think about that. Who exactly are you waiting for to set you free? What if the universe has already let go of your past, but you simply refuse to leave the courtroom? Ask yourself, is this endless trial actually serving your growth, or is it just a habit you are too afraid to break? Pause, breathe. Imagine holding a heavy wooden gavel in your hand. This is the gavel of judgment, of endless guilt, of brutal self-punishment. You do not have to fight it. Just open your hand, let it fall to the floor. You do not need to defend yourself against a past that has already vanished. You do not need to wait for a pardon to walk out of the cell. You can simply choose to leave. Because dropping the gavel means you are finally ready to stop arguing with yesterday. But walking out of the courtroom means learning how to stand quietly in the light of today. And this is where the final truth begins. 8. Stepping out of the courtroom and into the present. What if the silence you have been running from is the exact place where your healing begins? There is a strange, terrifying quiet that happens the moment you finally drop the gavel. For years, the private courtroom in your mind has been so loud. The endless arguments, the sharp accusations, the relentless replay of the worst moments of your life. It was exhausting, but it was familiar. When you suddenly choose to stop the trial, you are left with nothing but the present moment. And for a little while, that sudden silence might feel incredibly strange. But this is not an empty void. It is space. It is the wide, clear sky after the storm has finally broken. We began this journey by looking at the heavy sack of sharp stones you have been carrying on your back. You believed that if you let those stones go, you were somehow cheating justice. You thought the mud of your past had permanently stained your worth, and that the ashes of old fires were the only things you had left to hold. But you have seen the truth now. The sky is never ruined by the dark clouds that pass through it. The lotus owes its entire beautiful existence to the heavy mud, and you are not the mistakes you made when you were stumbling in the dark. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that life only ever exists right now. The past is a memory. The future is an illusion. The only place you can ever truly breathe, love, and find peace is in this exact passing second. When you cling to your past mistakes, you are forcing yourself to live in a ghost story. But true non-attachment allows you to finally step out of the shadows and walk back into the warmth of the living world. Imagine pushing open the heavy wooden doors of that dark, suffocating courtroom. You step outside, and the sudden brightness of the sun makes you close your eyes. You take a deep breath, and for the first time in years, your chest does not feel tight. You hear the wind moving gently through the trees. You realize that the entire world is moving forward, entirely unbothered by the trial you were holding inside. The trees are not judging you. The sky is not demanding an apology. Life is simply waiting for you to rejoin it. Think about what your life will look like tomorrow when you no longer view yourself as permanently damaged. Imagine sitting across from someone you care about and simply listening to their voice, without that quiet fear whispering that you are secretly broken. Imagine accepting a moment of pure, uncomplicated joy, without immediately bracing for the universe to punish you. You can have that. You deserve that. Not because you are flawless, but because you are human, and you are finally willing to forgive yourself. Pause. Breathe. Look back at the courtroom one last time. You do not have to burn it down. You simply have to stop visiting. You have paid your emotional debts. You have absorbed the heavy lessons. You have suffered enough. It is time to put your energy into building the person you are becoming, instead of destroying the person you used to be. If these lessons touched your heart, share this video with someone who may need a little more peace today. The trial is over. You are free to go.